Hello, friend and colleague. It's Nikki from Full Voice Music. On our podcast show, episode 207, I'm talking about updating your studio policies. Oh, yes. Important business strategies. And I promise to make it fun right here on the Full Voice Podcast. Hello. Welcome and thank you for pressing play, my friend and colleague. I hope you are keeping well. This world is a crazy place, and I hope that you are taking care of yourself and doing what you need to do to keep a calm head on your shoulders, to say the least. I am so excited. We are continuing a conversation that we had in our live office hours. So if you're new to Full Voice Music, one of the services we provide is a live office hours every month. We have a topic and teachers get to register their questions for the live office hours. And we just did the live office hours about updating your studio policies. And man, oh man, we had 87 people send me questions. And we had a great presentation and lots of feedback, and it was a really great conversation. This is an important topic, so I wanted to take it from the live office hours and also do it here on the podcast. Now, for those of you who would like to come to our free teacher webinars, aka live office hours, all you need to do is sign up for our newsletter. Go to our website, fullvoicemusic.com, find our newsletter, sign up, double opt-in so we know you're giving us permission because we respect people's privacy. And when you get our newsletter, you'll see the topic of the month and an opportunity to sign up and register your questions. You don't have to ask questions, but most people ask questions. It's free. And I love welcoming teachers into our Zoom room. Mim joins me, my partner, my forever colleague and partner, Mim Adams. She joins me. We have a great time and there's prizes. We give away draws. We do the little spinny wheel. It's hilarious. We have a great time. So, before I dive into updating studio policies, chit chat, I do want to let everybody know that Full Voice Music is going to be at the International Congress of Voice Teachers. Ooh, it sounds so fancy. We're going to be there on the Sunday, August the 3rd. I think it's August the 3rd. I'm just going to go over here and check the calendar. Hang on. I'm on my husband's computer. Yes, August the 3rd, Sunday, August the 3rd. We are going to have a table outside of the lecture hall with all of our free voice goodies. We'll have lots of freebies, lots of giveaways, and we'll have Dr. Geneva Williams' new textbook, Teaching Singing to Children and Young Adults, which is now available on our websites, on Amazon, and if you would prefer an ebook, this book is on Kindle. Or no, not Kindle. It's not on Kindle. That's a whole other podcast. It's on Kobo. So now, if you don't have to have a Kobo reader. You can get an app just like any other e-readers. It's also available through the Libby app. That is the library app. So if your library system is connected with the Libby app, you can get the book through that. So we'll be there at the ICVT. If you are coming, you have to give us a hug. You have to come and say hello. And if you're interested in checking it out, which I hope you are, because it really is a fantastic convention. It's in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I'm going to put links in the show notes to register. Yes, you can still register. Amazing opportunity for professional development. And there's lots of ways that we can do professional development, but face-to-face, being there, it can really lift you up and bring a lot of inspiration into your teaching. So there we go. There's my little housekeeping. ICVT, that's through NATS. It's also through the Royal Conservatory and the University of Toronto. So great organizations there. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Updating your studio policy. Oh my goodness. Okay, first of all, if you got like that tight feeling in your chest, I want you to take a deep breath. When I asked everybody in the live office hours to put an emoji in the chat about how they felt about updating their policies, there were like crying emojis, there was like the dead emoji. There was the stressed out emoji, screaming emojis. And I hear you, my friends. I know. Let's be honest, policies aren't the fun task, right? It's up there with doing our taxes or going to the dentist. They're not a glamorous, fun, creative musician thing to do. I get it. I do. However, policies are important, and updating your policies regularly, even if it's just a little change here and there, well, that is something that is so very important. Policies, if they're well written and enforced, they protect your time, your energy, and your income. And clear, updated policies help to protect a lot of things. How people do business with you. Really well written policies. This is an interesting thing to think about. Should, yes, I'm saying should, deter people who aren't a good fit. That's right. In our questions that were submitted to our live office hours, a lot of people were asking, how do I write my policies in a way that doesn't deter people from wanting to work with me? Now, there's a couple things here. First of all, policies can be written in a positive language, encouraging language, and they should be written that way. But creating a business that works for you primarily is going to turn people away. It could be as simple as you don't work on weekends and they're only available on weekends. So please don't think of a well-crafted document as a deterrent for people that you want to work with. They're going to set those boundaries against the people that you don't want to work with. So that is one of the things that we need to remember when we're writing our policies. We're not being mean. We're not being, too strict or fussy. It's about creating clarity about your boundaries and the services that you offer. Now, I want to start with just, again, going a little deeper here. What studio policies are and what studio policies are not. So, first of all, they are a written agreement that outline expectations, responsibilities for both sides, you and your students, and structure to how your business runs. They are not a list of things that piss you off. I said what I said. They are not a punishment list. And it's not per se a legal document, right? It is an agreement. It is not legally binding unless you want to take somebody to court, which I really don't think you do. They are meant to help everyone, you and your students, to have mutual clarity, not conflict. And one of the things that a really well written and updated policies do is they reflect your teaching values. They reflect the experience that you want to offer, not just your experience as a teacher, but the experience that you want to give your people. That is so important. Now, before you get into rewriting, I have some questions for reflection, because I think if you're in North America, end of May, June, this is when the academic year here is finishing up. So I know a lot of my American friends, hugs to you all. Yours, in a lot of areas, the school year kind of ends around the end of May. Here in Canada, it's the end of June. So our summer months are basically June and July, and we go back after Labor Day. But I know in the States, in some areas, end of May is kind of when the school year wraps up. This is a wonderful time, whether you're, American or Canadian. This is a really good time to reflect on your teaching year. And this is so important. You do not rewrite your studio policies until you've done this work. And I would highly recommend that you start with how are you feeling right now? Now, I know the world is heavy right now, but just in regards to how your studio ran this past year. First and foremost, are you out of your mind exhausted? Are you just done? Because you are the driver of the bus. So when you are thinking of your next year of teaching or your next season of teaching, what are some changes in your policy or your schedule or your hours um, that you can make to make sure that you don't end the year stressed out or burnt out? So now that's not to say that teaching isn't challenging. Of course, it's challenging, but I think a lot of the suffering comes from teachers, big-hearted teachers. I see you that want to set themselves on fire to keep everybody warm. Where are places where you can take your time back? Where are places that you can make some simple changes? Quite often, it's simple changes. Maybe you don't book makeup lessons during your lunch hour. Maybe you don't offer makeup lessons at all. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? You can do it. It's possible. So here are a few more questions to just kind of reflect on. Now, first, so how are you feeling? Are you stressed? Are you exhausted? And not just at the end of the year, but is there a day where you're just killing yourself? You're just doing way too much. You're trying to book it. I did that for years. I tried to combine like my teaching days and teach really, 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 really long days. And then the other days were spent with full voice. And I got really tired. I also got really sick. So again, we are the drivers of our bus. What can we do? What changes can we make? Now, the other thing obviously is math. Ew, math. Yes, math. Take a look. Take a look at your numbers. Crunch those numbers. Think about those numbers. Compare your numbers to what you brought in to what you were expecting to bring in. So did cancellations or makeup lessons cost you a lot? There was a season for my husband and I many years ago where like Christmas was not Christmas. We didn't have a Christmas because there was a whole bunch of snowstorms and sick people, and we had so many cancellations, and we were using the like pay per lesson monthly thing. And yeah, we were like, well, maybe this is before we had Noah. Maybe we'll just, go out for dinner in the new year when everybody pays for lessons in the new year. So crunch your numbers, look at how many forward facing or customer client facing hours you're working. Look at how much administrative time, how much time are you spending answering texts, emails. Look at how many client facing hours you're teaching. Look at how much administrative time. Look at your year and decide where you need to take time off. I really hope you're booking time off. It is necessary. You teaching a whole bunch of students and never having any breaks is not sustainable. You will start to feel it. And that's a shame because teaching can be incredibly rewarding. The other thing you want to look at is uh, extra costs. What were your expenses? Are you paying for subscriptions? Are you spending a lot of money on music? Are you struggling? Where did people push back? Right? Where did you see a lot of confusion with your families or students? What question did you have to answer over and over and over? What did you have to remind people about all the time? Take some time, go through and just reflect. And also be sure, this is so important, be sure to celebrate the things that worked. Celebrate the things. Maybe you moved your recital from December when families are crazy and you moved it into a winter recital in January. And that actually worked really well. Celebrate the things that are working. Be kind to yourself. Make sure it's not a list of things that just went wrong. I know that we have ups and downs, but you want both sides of the story to reflect upon before you rejig your your policies. Yeah. Now, one of the questions that some of the teachers asked, actually, this came up quite a bit, is I know that I'm losing money with my current schedule, with my current policies. And I know I have to change my policies, but I don't know how to do this. So I want to just briefly go over the different types of business models when it comes to teaching. And there are not only are there different business models, but there's so many different ways that you can customize it to work for you and your studio. And that can be overwhelming. So let's just generally look at the different types of options. The most common, and I think the most frustrating for a lot of teachers, is what we call the pay per lesson. Now, you might ask people to pay up front for a month worth of lessons, but in a pay per lesson, usually people can either tell you that they're going to be away and then they miss a lesson, or they miss a lesson and they demand a makeup lesson. This is very common. There's still a lot of teachers using this model. And for some teachers, it works fine. For some teachers, you're staying with this model for one of two reasons. One, you don't understand how tuition models work or other models work. And two, you're terrified of the change because you have a false narrative that everybody's going to quit if you change your policies. Take a deep breath. I want to help you through this. I want to walk you through this. There's lots of information to help you here. The other very common type of model in music lessons is the tuition-based. Now, tuition-based is usually for a term, meaning, maybe you do it for 4 months or 6 months. I don't ever recommend a yearly tuition. Asking people to study nonstop through a year, I think, is a hard ask, which is why a lot of studios and schools will do like 2 terms, right? So maybe you do September to January, January to May, whatever. In your tuition-based studio, you are charging the same amount every month. So you decide on how many lessons and what other services are included or resources. And then you divide that by, basically take that tuition fee and you divide it into equal payments each month. So maybe you are doing a 4-month term. It includes 12 weeks of lessons. It includes the recital fees. It includes your music fees. It includes the subscriptions that your studio goes to. It also includes your time, your administrative time, emails, all of that. And you come to that number, whatever it is, and then you divide it between how many months you want to do that. Now, this requires a little more thought. The challenge with tuition-based is you need to explain how it works and the advantages for your families. And there are a lot of advantages. You need to be crystal clear in what the tuition is covering. And I think when I went from a pay-per-lesson model, which wasn't working at all, and people were starting to really take advantage, and I did not have the time to do makeup lessons, and I was broke, I switched to a tuition-based lesson plan. Now, I want to shout out to Wendy Stevens of composecreate.com. It was Wendy's website that had detailed information on the tuition model with what she calls flex weeks. And I loved the flex weeks because flex weeks were weeks that were included in your tuition that were for makeup lessons. So within the 12-week session, there were a couple of weeks available. It wasn't a regular lesson week, but you could come in and have a makeup lesson if you had missed. The beautiful thing about flex weeks, and my friends, this is so important, flex weeks are also used by the teacher. So if you had to cancel a lesson, if you have a life, if you got sick, if you had an emergency, you also could say, I'm canceling this lesson, and there will be a makeup lesson on your flex week. In fact, you don't want to use the word makeup lesson. We'll have the lesson on the flex week. I'm going to put links in the show notes to Wendy Stevens' website to her article about structuring tuition-based systems, studios with the Flex Week options. I can't recommend them enough. You have to put flexibility in your teaching studio policies, not just for humans that are paying you, but for yourself. Everyone, and you will have to explain to families very clearly how it works. Now, I did have a few of my families that were quite confused, and when I sat down with a calendar and I explained the benefits of it, they kind of went, "Oh, well, that actually works really well. Okay, that's great." So again, when you're making changes, whether you're going from a pay per lesson to tuition or packages or membership, you will have to clarify very clearly what the advantages are and why you're moving to that. Now, there are a couple of other types of payment studio models that you might be interested in. One that I used for my adults are packages or punch cards. So these are great if you're offering short-term programs or you have people that just want to try a few lessons. I struggled so much, and I know a lot of teachers do, with the trial lesson. Whether it's paid or not, I always found that it's really hard to make a connection with someone and to really serve them in just one lesson. Um, so I sold packages of 4, 6, and 8 lessons. And it was a perfect opportunity for people to make the commitment. Now, here's the beautiful thing. If somebody didn't want to commit to a minimum of 4 lessons, probably not going to be your ideal client. And I had so many adults that tried the 4-week, 4-lesson package and then continued to buy packages whenever they needed them. So packages or punch cards are great for short-term, people that can't make a long-term commitment, people who are just trying things out. The other thing that I did with the punch card or the packages is my adults were either my first lessons of the day or my last lessons in the evening. So if I had a student that, an adult student that something came up or they had to cancel, I would start later or I would go home earlier. And the beautiful thing is I've already been paid for those lessons. So I didn't consider it being out money. I would just teach them at another time. So punch cards, packages are great for busy people, adults, trials. And I use that in conjunction with a tuition. The flexibility in the punch cards in the packages is really, really beautiful. So I hope that you'll check that out if that's an option for you. Now, one of the biggest questions, that people asked for our live office hours, they registered this question. And one of my friends and colleagues, who shall remain nameless, she's a good friend, put it all in capitals. How do you get people to read your policies? Now, if I had a magic wand solution for that, I'd probably be a gajillionaire. But let's just be reasonable here. Nobody reads anything, and that includes you and me. In fact, full disclosure, I am the worst mom for reading and staying up on what is going on. I have missed so many emails about school things and schedule changes. I am that mom on the baseball team that the team manager always kind of sends me a text to say, "Did you get the message? Did you read the email?" Because I don't, and I need to be reminded. And if it's really important, she calls me. Lisa, God bless you, Lisa. Honestly, I don't know what I would do. I also want people to know, in my defense, I have a 14-year-old that could be a spy. The child does not ever communicate unless it is something he is truly interested in. Here's a fun fact. My husband and I did not know for 3 years that my son had won an academic award because the school didn't send out an email about it, but they just gave the kids an invitation to the awards night. And because my son didn't want to go, he never gave us the invitation. And we didn't know that he had got a first class honors award for 3 years. And the only reason that I found out about it is I was on Facebook and I saw a picture, a video of his friend Chris getting his academic award. And I was like, hey, they have academic awards. Noah always does well in school. I wonder what's going on. Yeah, you can imagine how that conversation went. So, to all the people out there frustrated with people not reading your policies, there are things we can do to make sure that our communication is improved. And here's something I remember, I think it was Marie Forleo that mentioned this, and I think this is such a good reminder. Communication is hard. It's hard. And nowadays, with so many types of communications, Facebook message, text, emails, all of that, it's even harder. We all can work on being better communicators. Every single one of us, whether it's how we communicate with our families, our husbands, our wives, our partners, our children, our clients, being a good communicator is something that is we always can be working on. Now, I have to tell you, I'm always trying to be a good communicator. The other side of always leveling up your communication skills is you're going to get really angry at people who just don't put any effort into it. Oh my goodness. Yes, the board here at Hemperd Forest. I don't know, I'm going to have to send owls with messages to my neighbors about what's going on. Anyhow, being a better communicator is effort and focus and mindfulness. We can all be better communicators. So what do we do? How do we get them to read? First of all, and this ties in with another question that I got. Do you print them? Do you email them? Do you put them on your website? Yes, yes, and yes. You want to make your policies as accessible as possible. And whether that is in print form, and yes, I do believe that every student should be handed a copy of your policies. And here's the hard part. You need to walk them through it. You need to go through each section and say, this is this, this is this, this is what I expect. You need to look them in the eye, smile, and go through your policies. This is so important. In addition to that, you're going to have to send friendly reminders. You're going to have to send out a friendly email. Now, I see a lot of music teachers using their social media as a way to remind studio people. I wouldn't guarantee that would reach everybody, but if you use social media and people are following you, that might be another way to friendly reminder, studio is closed this weekend or whatever. But that is only one of many, many, many different ways. The other thing that I always would do is at recitals, when you are being the hostess or the host with the most, you want to use that opportunity on stage to thank people and also remind them about upcoming things, changes, studios. I did that when I was switching to a tuition. I told everybody, hey, we're wrapping up the season. I need to go over the new policies for next year. I want to make sure everybody understands what's going on. We've made some really great changes that I think are going to help everybody get more out of their lessons. That's what I said. I didn't tell them that, it's going to be horrible and they're going to hate it. I didn't do that. Because it wasn't true. So, they're communicating your policies is an ongoing thing. And again, looking at your policies and looking for the benefits and helping people understand the benefits is the way to go. So, now the other way to help people read your policies is that you got to make your policies look good. Design matters. It matters in a big way. So things like using clean fonts. Don't use funky fonts if they're not readable. You want to use your brand colors. Do you have a studio logo? It should be on there. You want to use headers, bullet points, friendly, clear language. You want to leave out the War and Peace novel about why your policies are such and why you think. You want to keep it concise. I think sometimes we forget that people aren't willing to invest in a long sit-down read. And full disclosure, when I get an email and it's like a huge long email and there's no white space and there's no headers and there's no bullet points, I go to rage town. It's like, how dare you? How dare you make me stop my day and read this long email? So when you're designing your studio policies, you want to really make sure that it looks good. One of the things I highly recommend that you have in your studio policies is a calendar that marks when the studio is closed, that marks when you have flex weeks, that marks all the important things. Maybe your students do festivals, maybe they do competitions. Having a calendar view is so helpful for busy families. And if you can plan things like your recitals and all of those things well in advance, you can let people know to reserve those dates because that will be the day of the performances. That is so helpful for families. The other thing that is, I think, really helpful because it speaks to the experience in your studio is you might want to write a welcome note. Welcome to the Full Voice Studio, and talk a little bit about, how excited you are to get started, all the wonderful benefits of singing. Like, keep it short and sweet. But again, making it a document that welcomes them into your studio makes it a lot easier when you have to hand it to them and walk them through it. See what I did there? So clever. Now, here's a really great tip, and I highly recommend it. And I want to let you know that one of the teachers in the live office hours actually did it while we were going through the stuff. So here's my recommendation. Use ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever AI source you are using. Copy and paste your current policies or your new policies that you've just written into ChatGPT, and then give it a few prompts. One of them is, can you rewrite this for clarity and ease of reading, highlighting and emphasizing whatever you want, the cancellation policy or whatever you have in there. And it will do a beautiful job of giving you bullet points, headings, and it'll probably tweak some of the language. You can also ask ChatGPT, you can give it a prompt like, can you highlight the benefits to the family in this policy? Can you identify if I've missed anything in this policy? Can you suggest some improvements for this policy? Put a few of those prompts in after you've copy and pasted and see what happens. Now, one of the teachers in our live office hours did that, and she said, I just want to let you know that the improvements were incredible. Like, this is huge. And I feel so much more confident now about rewriting my policies. So using AI for good instead of evil, and having them go through your policies and rewrite for clarity is so very, very, very important. And again, you'll see, trust me. Now, the biggest challenge, I think, for a lot of teachers is communicating changes. So if you're making changes, whether it's an increase to how much you're charging, first of all, what should never be in a policy is an apology for changes that you make or an increase. You also don't have to go into lengthy explanation. In fact, you don't have to explain at all if you are increasing your fees. Now, Michelle Marquardt DeVoe, our good friend, says if it's a small increase, you do not have to explain it all. Just state the new fee. If it is a larger increase, you may want to spend some time explaining why you have, whether it's additional costs or whatever. If it's a huge increase, it's a conversation. So for those of you who are terrified of raising your fees by $1 here and there, I want you to know, from a mom, a sports mom, the sports fees increase every year. There's no email. There's no explanation. They just go up. Now, I have to tell you, and again, just for the sake of helping people relax about and understanding the importance of communication, really. So this past year, baseball fees, they more than doubled. Now, being that I know a lot of the baseball moms, I knew why they had doubled. One, the city is charging more fees to use the fields. There was an upgrade to the clubhouse, to the canteen. There was a huge need for improved gear, bases, the fences need to be fixed. And because the organization in the past had not been doing regular increases, a lot of our baseball facilities had become run down. This happens a lot in organizations when they are worried about raising rates. Now, when the fees went out, a lot of parents freaked out, and understandably so. More than doubling fees is a little bit of a shock. Now, after the initial freak out, the board, the baseball board, did send out an email explaining what costs had been occurred and why, and everybody understood. But the general consensus is like we needed more information prior to being handed the fees. So if this helps you understand the importance of communicating and also the importance of regular increases, because if you get to a point where you are so low in your fees and you have to raise your rates substantially, yes, you're going to see some people probably not sign up again. Now, I want to speak to that. The nature of music lessons, we do have, it is normal and healthy to have people come and go. And for many different reasons. A lot of the reasons that people choose not to participate in our lessons sometimes, often, have nothing to do with you. I've lost some of my best teenagers because, well, they got summer jobs. Oh my gosh, this was so heartbreaking. My best student, she actually sang at my wedding, got a summer camp job, right? And so she didn't take lessons through the summer, but in the fall, she got offered all of these counseling part-time things through her church. And it was something she was super passionate about, and it just didn't work out. And as much as I was sad to see her go, I was really proud of her. We lose students for a multitude of reasons. And sometimes little changes in our policy is the catalyst for that person, parent or student, to choose not to study with us. It doesn't mean that it was the policy necessarily. It probably meant they were on their way out the door anyhow. And there's a beautiful saying, bless and release. Right? Let them go. Thank them for being part of your studio. And know in your heart of hearts that there's somebody else amazing that's going to fill that spot. So please don't think that email or policy updates are the end of everything for you. And you will see some people some fluctuations in student retention. But honestly, you have to create a business that you love. And that comes with intention. That's the word of the day, intention. Are you building a business that serves you as much as it serves your community? That it is possible. You do not have to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm and to grow your business. You really, truly don't. So, my friends, I hope that this has been helpful. I'm going to put links in the show notes to all of the things. And again, before I let you go, I want to remind you, the ICVT, International Congress of Voice Teachers, is in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and that is close enough for me to come and visit. And Mim and I will be there. Mim Adams, my longtime friend and colleague, and forever partner here at Full Voice Music. She will be joining us. Dr. Ginevra Williams will be presenting on vocal health for young singers, a really important topic. And we will be there. Ginevra is going to do book signing. We'll have lots of freebies and fun. Please come and say hello if you're coming to the ICVT. As always, my friends, thank you. Thank you for listening. I hope you got some teacher takeaways. I hope you have some courage and some inspiration. That is my goal. I know that the world is heavy right now. And I want to just say, I want to shout out to all our American friends. We see you. I watched your No Kings protests, and I know that you are fighting the good fight. I want you to know that Full Voice Music is here for you. We see you. We see your struggles. We're praying for you. We are hoping that change is going to happen and soon. And we just want everyone to know that we're here for you, and however we can help you with your teaching needs, please let us know, and make sure that you sign up for our newsletter at fullvoicemusic.com. That way you'll know about our next live office hours, and you can come to our free webinars. And of course, we always share fun teaching strategies and all the great stuff happening at Full Voice through our newsletters. As always, my friends and colleagues, thank you for tuning in. And from my heart, I'm sending you a hug from Hemford Forest, Nova Scotia. And I am wishing you inspired teaching and happy singing.